Okay, so the main course is here. Once again, you guys know the drill. I'm gonna be presenting to you my playoff predictions for all three series, that is Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks. The drivers that I put in the green are the ones that I believe will make the playoffs. The ones that are in yellow are the ones that I believe will may make the playoffs, may not. But overall, they're gonna be like the playoff bubble. They're just gonna barely miss it, in my opinion. But at the very least, I could see a world where, at the very least, they can make it. The ones in red are the ones that I don't see any chance at all of making the playoffs. So let's start with the Cup Series. And first of all, I just want to say, how cool is it that all 36 teams have a full-time driver? Like all 36 teams that are chartered have a full-time driver. There is no driver rotation. There is no ride being shared between guys. Like every single driver, every single team has one full-time driver. I mean, that is so cool. I don't believe that has ever happened, like in the charter era, like 36 teams, 36 drivers, 36 races. NASCAR just missed a perfect opportunity for marketing right there. That being said, of course, we don't know if all of these drivers will compete all 36 races. Remains to be seen what's going to happen, how the season plays out. But hopefully, in a perfect case scenario, we see all these guys start all 36 races and just, race against each other all the way through. So yeah, let's begin with the Cup Series. Let's gonna start with the top left from here. Ross Chastain definitely making the playoffs. I believe I said in an earlier video he's gonna bounce back. I believe he's gonna bounce back and win multiple races, I do think, and also be a dark horse for the championship for potentially. Ty Dillon, I cannot say the same for him. He's definitely gonna miss the playoffs. Denny Hamlin, even with me expecting a down year for him due to Chris Gabehart no longer being his crew chief, I do believe he's going to still make the playoffs. Same goes for Ryan Blaney. Allmendinger, simply due to the fact that there are 5 road courses in the regular season, that automatically gives Allmendinger a shot at just making the playoffs. I definitely see a world where Allmendinger can just win a race and make it to the playoffs. The reason I put him here is because I'm not as confident as I am about SVG, which, and I don't usually do this, but I do think SVG is going to win with 5 road courses, and including the Chicago Street Course. I do believe SVG is going to win one of those races, maybe even 2, and make the playoffs off of that win. So again, I don't usually do this, but in SVG's case, it's just win or bust, because if he doesn't win any of those road courses, he just drops down all the way down here. But I'm gonna get a little bold here. Again, I don't usually do this. I don't like predicting like the winners of each race and then who's gonna make the playoffs of which win. But in the case of SVG, like, he's such a generational talent on road courses in NASCAR. Maybe the best road course driver that we have seen in NASCAR since his fellow V8 Supercars guy, Marcus Ambrose. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but that's just how much faith I have in SVG. Continuing on with playoff guys, Buescher, either by win or by being one of the highest drivers in points, but he's gonna make the playoffs definitely. Same goes for Briscoe. I do have Briscoe down for at least 1 or 2 wins now that he's driving for JGR. Cindric, I definitely see a world where he can, win a race even by sheer dumb luck, just like what happened at Gateway last season. My gut feeling tells me that's not gonna be the case, more than likely. Not discarding the possibility though, so he goes in the bubble. Christopher Bell, he's definitely going there. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna say it now. Christopher Bell is gonna be my regular season champion. Josh Berry. You know, I'm gonna give Berry the benefit of the doubt. I almost put Berry here, but I'm gonna be nice to Josh, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. If Harrison Burton could win a race with the Wood brothers, I definitely can have Josh Berry down for, at the very least, a couple of strong runs to where he finds himself in position for a win or two, even if it's like on a super speedway. Logano, yes, this is not an even year, but he's still gonna win he's still gonna make the playoffs off of just like a win or two. But because it's not an even year, again, I don't expect him to make some sort of playoff run. Bubba Wallace. Again, if SVG doesn't win a race, doesn't win it at any of the road courses, and he ends up missing the playoffs, I would put Bubba Wallace here. But given that SVG, you gotta count for SVG actually winning a road course, Bubba's most likely gonna be on the bubble. Yeah. But again, I'm not discarding the possibility that SVG, loses, doesn't win a race. If he doesn't, then yeah, Bubba replaces him, because he is like my 17th driver for me. He's like the guy that if someone doesn't win or just flames out and in the regular season, then Bubba can just step up and be that number 16 guy. But Byron in the playoffs. Austin Dillon just had a rough past couple of seasons, but he always puts himself in position to just win a race, either by just randomly popping off or winning by sheer dumb luck. He's been there before, been there, done that, so you gotta respect that. You gotta respect that. Todd Gilliland, simply due to the fact that he's driving for he's driving the 34 car, the best team in Front Row Motorsports, I'm gonna assume. And also the fact that Front Row is now a Tier 1 organization with an alliance with Penske. And also, given the fact that they were in position to win a couple of super speedway races, I have to say, there's a definite chance that Todd Gilliland ends up winning a race. More than likely, I'm gonna say no, but the fact that it's possible, I can see a world where it's possible, lands him on the bubble. Riley Herbst, I cannot say the same about him. I feel like, and this is no shade to Riley. He definitely improved in Xfinity the past 2 seasons. He finally broke through and won a couple races. But he's just not a Cup level driver. He's just not. I feel like those past 2 seasons at Stewart-Haas Racing, I feel like that's the best we're gonna get out of Riley. He's just gonna be a solid Xfinity driver when you give him the right equipment. But in the Cup Series, he's just not a Cup Series level driver. I'm sorry. Zane Smith, I could very easily put him here because some people have pointed out that, or some people have felt that he has more potential than Todd Gilliland, similar to Carson Hocevar with Spire. Zane Smith has the potential to be the new number 1 guy at Front Row. And while I definitely believe I could see a world where it happens, I'm gonna more than likely say that he misses the playoffs and he has no chance of making it. Simply due to the fact that if I just put him here, then I'm just gonna have to put a couple of other guys here, and the playoff bubble is just going to be way too crowded. I need to put some guys down here. Noah Gragson. A lot of people forget that he was the second best driver at Stewart-Haas Racing, and for early parts of the season, he looked like the best guy too. Like the number 1 guy on that team for a couple of early season races. It's fair to assume that now that he's driving for a better team in Front Row Motorsports, that he is going to improve. Now, the reason why I have him here over Zane is because Gragson has more experience on his side. He has like a season's worth of more of experience. I know his rookie year was marred with controversy that just ended with him being unceremoniously released from his ride early. But still, he has more experience than Saint Smith, so I feel like I'm giving Gragson more of a chance to be in the playoff bubble than Zane is. Cole Custer, this is just a rebuilding year for Haas Factory, at least on the Cup Series side. So I'm gonna bet more than likely they miss the playoffs. Same with the two legacy guys, unfortunately. That team is just a dumpster fire. Tyler Reddick, yes, he's definitely making the playoffs. Stenhouse, again, just like Austin Dillon, he can pull out a win at a super speedway. Alex Bowman in. Larson in. Cody Ware, no. Ty Gibbs. He's gonna win multiple races. This is the year that he will finally break through, and once he does, the floodgates are gonna open. I think he's gonna have a season very similar to the one that Chase Elliott had in 2018, where after winning his first career race, he's just gonna rattle off like 2 wins, maybe 3. But I just need to see something, man. This is already your 3rd season. It is at this point where we start to see what drivers are really made of. So if you're gonna start hopefully becoming something on that team, you better start winning races. Keselowski, I also think he's gonna make the playoffs. He's gonna win a race this season. He's definitely gonna win a race. RFK is just another team that's on the rise, and with the added backing of Kroger and also Ryan Preece now as their 3rd driver. Speaking of Ryan Preece, unfortunately, like I said, similar to Saint Smith, if I put Saint Smith here, I would have to put Ryan Preece in there as well. And unfortunately, I cannot have too many drivers in the bubble. So again, Preece, I'm gonna say he just misses the playoffs. Okay. As for the 3 Spire guys, Justin Haley, he is being able to, his only career Cup win, and yes, Justin Haley has won a Cup race. Never forget the 2019 July Daytona race. Simply because of the fact that he plays the strategy game perfectly and things just tend to fall his way, I feel like I have to put him here in the playoff bubble. Also, the fact that he has Rodney Childers as his crew chief. He could improve to the point that he could maybe be an outside threat for a top 20 in points. I really doubt it, but top 25 is definitely an expectation. Michael McDowell as well. McDowell has won the Daytona 500 and has also won at Indy, so just because of that, you gotta expect him to, compete for a random win, either at super speedway or road course. Hocevar. Honestly, I think Hocevar has the best chance of pointing his way in of the 3 Spire cars, simply because last season he finished just outside of the top 20. That being said, he's gonna take more than likely. He's gonna take a win for him to make the playoffs, and well, I definitely see it possible. I could very just as likely see him, flaming out due to the sophomore slump. I don't think that's gonna be the case, but again, you never know. Kyle Busch, I'm just gonna say it right now. He's gonna win the Daytona 500. He's gonna win the Daytona 500. And he's gonna make the playoffs off of that win. There, I said it. My original pick, heading into a couple days ago, while brainstorming my picks for the Daytona 500, I originally had Ryan Blaney as my pick. But I eventually switched over to Kyle because I just realized this is actually his 20th try because he missed 2015 due to injury. So this is technically his 20th try. And 2005, this is 20 years to the day that his full-time NASCAR career started. So this is technically the 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration Kyle Busch moment for him to win the Daytona 500. If he doesn't, and even if he doesn't, I do think he's going to break his winless streak at some point, and he's going to make the playoffs because that win's going to come in the regular season. Chase Elliott, also playoffs. Suarez, kind of like Bubba Wallace. If SVG doesn't win again, if SVG doesn't win at any of the road courses, then the final playoff spot I feel will be decided by points, and it's gonna be either Bubba Wallace or Daniel Suarez. In the end, I feel like Bubba is gonna win, get the nod over Suarez. But again, these are my 16 drivers that I got in the playoffs for the Cup Series. Moving on to the Xfinity Series, things are a little bit more straightforward here, since there aren't that many full-time drivers, and also there aren't that many, top-tier teams in Xfinity. The numbers are a little bit wonky. I'm just mentioning that in case someone points this out to me. I know, so just please bear with me. As always, we're gonna start from the top left. Sheldon Creed, he's definitely gonna make the playoffs, and I do think he's gonna win a race. I don't know how, I don't know when, but this is his third team in the 4 years he's been in Xfinity. He's got to win a race at some point, dude. You just gotta have to. Carson Kabapel, one of the top rookie prospects, is definitely gonna make the playoffs as well. Daniel Dye, yeah, he's gonna be on the bubble, but will ultimately miss it. But given that the Xfinity playoffs is like a little more, it's a little more top heavy. Guys that are like in the 13th to 20th in points range, let's assume they are in the bubble, because these guys, they could just surprise and pull out a win just by either by dumb luck or strategy. I could definitely see Daniel Dye doing something like that. 14, that's Garrett Smithley. No. Christian Eckes, as the number one guy at Kaulig, he's definitely gonna make the playoffs. He's gonna make it on points. He is gonna make the playoffs on points. That's Williams and Wallich. I'm not gonna lie, the entirety of Joe Gibbs Racing this year is a complete wild card. That's Brandon Jones and Taylor Gray. The three of them are gonna make the playoffs, but I'm just gonna get this out of the way here. These three JGR guys, they are a complete wild card, especially their two rookies, Wallich and Taylor Gray. I only have them in the playoffs simply due to the fact that they are driving for JGR, and JGR teams, they tend to be, those JGR cars, they tend to be fast, no matter who drives it. Hell, even Matt Tifft managed to make the playoffs in a JGR car back in 2017. So if Matt Tifft could do it, then there's no excuse as to why Wallich or Taylor Gray shouldn't. So yeah, all three JGR cars are in the playoffs. Jesse Love, he is also going to be in the playoffs. Same goes for Austin Hill. Harrison Burton, I'm going to be nice to him and say that he elevates AM Racing at the very least to be like almost top 20-ish in points. Kind of like what Brett Moffitt was for them before Hailie Deegan came. Dean Thompson, yeah, he's also going to be in the bubble. Honestly, he should be here, but the fact that Sam Hunt Racing, they have now more support from Toyota and a possible technical alliance with JGR, if I read correctly. Yeah, I think Dean Thompson, he's gonna run the on-track product with Dean Thompson is gonna be a little bit better than you think, but he's ultimately gonna miss the playoffs. He's gonna be on the bubble all season long, though, I do think. Jeff Burton, again, yeah, he's gonna be on the bubble as well. Kyle Sieg, no, he's gonna miss the playoffs. The guy that I believe is gonna be in the bubble is his older brother Ryan, though. Blaine Perkins, no. Parker Retzlaff. I mean, Alpha Prime Racing is on the rise, so and they finished top 20 in points last year. So Retzlaff, a better driver in Retzlaff equals, yeah, they're gonna stay in the playoff bubble. Brennan Poole, Yeah, this Xfinity playoff grid is low-key getting crowded in the bubble. But hey, Brennan Poole, I believe he was in the top 20 in points last year. Yeah, let's put him here as well. 41, that's Sam Mayer. He's in the playoffs. 42, that's Anthony Alfredo. Yeah, Alfredo's on the bubble as well. That Young's Motorsports team with Honeyman, they surprised me a lot last year. I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't run it back for another year with Honeyman and instead went with Alfredo, but Alfredo is definitely is still an upgrade nonetheless. Nick Sanchez, yeah, he's gonna be on the bubble. I don't expect him to make the playoffs in year one, but I do believe he's gonna be a long-term project if they decide to build around him. Chris Wright, bye-bye. Jeremy Clements, yep. Clements is just a perennial Xfinity bubble driver. If he makes it to the playoffs, it's either because somebody just squandered their spot and somebody just flopped, or Clements just won a race. Allgaier in the playoffs. Connor Silage as well. Sammy Smith, yeah. And just like that, we got the 12 playoff drivers, I guess. Let's see. 71, that's Ryan Ellis. Yeah, no, he won't make it. 99 is Matt DiBenedetto. Simply due to the fact that I have high hopes for Viking Motorsports, I'm gonna say that DiBenedetto has a chance to, at the very least, point his way in the top 20. But yeah, now that I think about it, this playoff bubble is way too crowded. But hey, I could definitely see Brennan Poole, guys like Brennan Poole or Anthony Alfredo winning a race. I mean, we almost saw Brennan Poole win Talladega, the spring race at Talladega last year. When he just didn't get the push that he needed at the very end. Same with Anthony Alfredo. He ran pretty well at the spring Talladega race, so if the big one happens and a lot of the big dogs are taken out, I could very easily see like a Brennan Poole, Anthony Alfredo, Jeb Burton, or even Parker Retzlaff compete for the win and possibly knock one of these guys out, hopefully. But yeah, Xfinity, that's it for Xfinity. Like I said, pretty straightforward. Again, the numbers look a little wonky, but again, I know, I tried, so just bear with me. In case somebody points it out in the comments, I know, okay? I know the numbers are wrong. And last, but definitely not least, we have the Truck Series. Now, just like Xfinity, the Truck Series is pretty straightforward in the sense that there is a clear hierarchy between the best teams and the bottom feeders. So let's not waste any time. Again, starting from the top left, Corey Heim, definite shoo-in for the playoffs. A lot of people even say that he's gonna run away with the title, both the title and the regular season title. I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think there's a couple of drivers that are gonna pose a challenge to Heim. But we're gonna get into those drivers, into who those drivers are in a minute. For now, let's get these guys out of the way. Jake Garcia first. Garcia kind of disappointed me in 2024. I believe I even had him in the playoffs last year. I predicted him to be in the playoffs last year as the 10th driver in points. Unfortunately, he didn't even come close to that. Some people could say it's because of a sophomore slump, but the main reason why I was so high on him was because of the season that he had with McAnally in 2023. And when he moved to Thor Sport, presumably a better team, what I consider to be a better team at the moment. Unfortunately, I believe, you can chalk that up to, some of that you can chalk it up to a sophomore slump. And if that is the case, then in that case, Garcia should have a bounce back year. And I do believe he will, but again, because the Truck Series field is just way stronger now, I think it's going to be very difficult for Garcia to make it to the playoffs if he doesn't win a race. Same thing goes for Tanner Gray. What I said about Jake Garcia applies to Tanner Gray. If he doesn't win, he's not gonna make the playoffs. And at this point, I'm just gonna say it. Tanner Gray is just a perennial. It's just gonna be a perennial bubble driver, kind of like a guy that's gonna finish like 11th to 13th range in points, like every single season. If he makes the playoffs one year, it's gonna be just barely like 2-3 points over a guy, over someone else. But yeah, that's just what it is for Tanner Gray at this point. Gio Ruggiero, again, I've heard some people say that the kid has potential, but I don't watch ARCA, so I cannot make a fair assessment on him. Based on what those people have said about him, though, I'm gonna say a top 15 in points is pretty reasonable based on the expectations that he has. Again, I don't expect it to make the playoffs, though. I believe Tricon as a whole is gonna get carried by Corey Heim this year. Tyler Ankrum, even if he doesn't win a race, I believe he can make it pretty easily on points. Same goes for Daniel Hemrick, although in Hemrick's case, I do believe he can win a race or two. If he doesn't, then I'll be damned. But even then, just like Tyler Ankrum, Hemrick can still make the playoffs on points. Dawson Sutton, he ran slightly better than Ty Dillon did late last year, which is not saying much, unfortunately, because Rackley War is a small team and they really haven't done much since they haven't really shown much since Matty Benedetto left them. So unfortunate, but yeah, I just don't see a way where Dawson Sutton wins, not even at a super speedway. So unfortunate, but yeah, we gotta put some people here on this miss category. You don't want to crowd the playoff bubble a little too much. Frankie Muniz, speaking of guys that are gonna miss the playoffs, this honestly pains me to say because I like Frankie Muniz a lot, and it's pretty cool that, you know, actors turned race car drivers start joining NASCAR and compete at a NASCAR National Series full time. But in saying that, he's driving for Rion Brothers Racing, and yeah, that team. I mean, the team improved. I mean, the team expanded to 3 full-time teams this season by acquiring some assets from Rev Racing. Unfortunately, though, I don't think that's gonna be enough for Muniz to even sniff playoff contention. The only hope, the only expectation that I have for him is just don't fail to qualify. Just start all races on the season and hopefully keep the car clean. It's a tall order, but hey, that's just where I'm at right now for him. When it comes to Frankie Muniz, the Front Row Motorsports guys, that's Chandler Smith and Lane Riggs. Actually, Lane Riggs is driving the 34 for some reason, and they put Chandler Smith in the 38. Either way, both of them are going to be in the playoffs, and Chandler Smith is going to be one of the main challengers, I feel, for Corey Heim for the regular season title. Matt Mills missed the playoffs. 44 truck. Oh yeah, speaking of the 44 truck, there is some news that came up like a few days ago, I believe. Christian Rose is not going to be running full-time in that 44 anymore. As of right now, Bailey Curry is going to be running that truck at Daytona. And assuming that Curry becomes the full-time driver of the team, it's not gonna change anything. I still have that 44 truck missing the playoffs. It doesn't matter if it's Christian Rose or Bailey Curry driving it, honestly. But yeah, pretty unfortunate for Christian Rose for his full-time opportunity to be dashed away because the sponsor backed out. That sucks. Anyways, speaking of Nice Motorsports, the guy that's gonna carry their entire organization this year, Caden Honeycutt, make the playoffs, potentially win a race. Tony Bradinger, I'm only putting him on the bubble here simply because of the fact that she's driving for Tricon. If it wasn't for that, she would be a straight up miss, though. Stuart Friesen, I don't want to say he's washed, But that team, ever since 2020, 2021, they have never been. They haven't returned to form. The only year they looked solid on that stretch that I talked about was 2022, and then after the season after, they just like kind of returned back to being missing the playoffs and stuff. Unfortunately, because the playoff bubble, because the playoff field is stronger this year, the field in the Truck Series is stronger, and with young drivers improving especially, unfortunately, this is gonna leave some of the veterans like Preseason and Matt Crafton out of the playoffs. Yeah, speaking of Matt Crafton, because I already mentioned him, he's washed at this point. If he makes the playoffs, it's gonna be because he won a race, which I'm not discarding that possibility, because I mean, he's a veteran, he's a champion, he's probably gonna know how to get it done. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bank on it though. Timmy Hill, not a chance. Roger Carruth, another young guy that I expect a lot of improvement from this year. Spencer Boyd, no. Andres Perez, the ARCA champion. Again, just because he's driving for Spire, I'm putting him in the playoff bubble, even though honestly I don't see, similar to Tony Breidinger, I don't see a world where Andy Perez makes the playoffs. Connor Mosack, he's gonna do a pretty solid job this year. He's gonna have a solid season, but I don't think he's gonna make the playoffs. I don't think he's gonna win a race. A guy who I think will win is Grant Enfinger, and he could be an outside threat for the regular season title and a definite dark horse for the championship four, kind of like what it was last year. Jack Wood, I'm a little bit torn. Yeah, honestly, the playoff bubble is a little too crowded now. Yeah, let's put it here on the Miz. And that leaves us with Ty Majeski and Ben Rhodes as the final full-time drivers to complete the 10-man playoff grid. Honestly, now that I look at this 10-man playoff grid that I have for the Truck Series, this is very solid. Honestly, this is an extremely solid playoff grid. Now that I think about it, but yeah, that's it for my predictions for all three National Series, and I'm done.